you should say it when the mics are hot. That's what they...
I'm
I
hot.
just like saying mics are hot.
Ding dong.
Ding dong, ding dong. What's up, everybody? Welcome into the pregame show.
Chiefs are dead.
My God, you guys don't. I mean, so the people that don't have a frame of reference for football, we have some international fans, maybe don't watch the NFL, maybe just people here domestically who don't watch the NFL. The Chiefs lose and vomit all over themselves. It's a good day. Really, it's like the Lakers vomiting all over themselves. Also happening at the moment.
The only difference is that when the Lakers vomit all over themselves, it's things like alfalfa sprouts and things that they. And then today we threw up ribs and barbecue.
Yeah, lots of barbecue, lots of ribs, some baked beans or something. Baked beans, by the way, a low food. Is this a bad take? It's a low food.
I enjoy baked beans.
You do?
Yeah, we've strayed too far.
Refried beans are amazing.
Yeah, we won the
refried beans.
Yeah, refried beans.
That's a different bean, though.
I know, that's what I'm saying though. But then other kinds of beans, I'm out on.
Yeah, we got a great show for you guys. We're just all in great moods. Even Dev.
Yeah, I know. Dev, tell us, did you win any of your bets today? No, I was so impressed with my own success. I went too far with it and lost. So,
wow.
Dude, Dev has
that sounds just like Dev.
Yeah.
Dev has been so impressed with himself lately. He framed every one of his responses last night in which bets he won.
Literally all of his responses.
He's like, who had a good game? Aaron Gordon. You want to know why I said it?
Oh, yeah. He's really a smugget at heart, as is my guy D-Lenko.
I'm feeling great. As you know, sports hate is my
it's the best hate.
It's my most important emotion, I would say.
Is it?
Yes. It cuts to the core of me in a way that nothing else quite can, and it's meaningless.
Okay. All right. Number one top emotion is hate, sports hate.
Yeah, because it's like you get to just be a Neanderthal with no repercussions, because then you just drop the actual bad feelings you have as soon as the game's over.
I think my top one is agape love, which would be like brotherly love, maybe charity, as you would call it. Number two.
Not me. I like sports hate, real hate, and then I think gluttony. All of the sins.
Yeah, very good. I've also got Brennan Vogt here, who's matched his socks to his shirt, as I have been informed.
Yeah, Kale and I were talking about this. You can do this now. If you're popping a little color in the sock, it doesn't have to match your pant or your shirt. It could be your shirt if you want to.
All right, well.
Why do you sex this show up as much as you do?
Why do I what?
Sex this show up as much as you do.
Wynn's not here, bro. Someone's got to.
I love that you have a secession. The hat is a total secession move. I just love that.
Yeah, I also love it because I don't have to put stuff in my hair.
Oh, okay.
Just put a hat on.
Nuggets are. So can I start off the top here before we get to game notes? I'd be a little bit of a little whiny bitch over here for a second if I can.
Yeah, for once.
So who's the MVP of the reigning MVP?
Nikola Jokic.
Who is the MVP that preceded him? Reigning NBA champion.
Giannis
Antetokounmpo.
So why the hell is this game on at 5 o'clock adjacent to the NFC Championship game? Isn't this tell you everything you need to know about the NBA? That they're like, hey, doesn't matter. Put them on at the worst possible time slot. Isn't it a little bit annoying?
You're right in that my first reaction is, they just made it. They weren't thinking about every single thing that could be happening along the way. My second thought is there's no way there would be a Lakers-Celtics game
of course.
Right now, so I don't know where I land.
Of course, you know exactly where you land. Are you kidding me? This is like
right. I'm mad.
We talk about all the stuff. I'm just saying the NBA is the culprit for why the league is discussed the way it is. This is my point. I may have been on this island for a long time. This is more, but whatever. We're here talking about it. That's all that matters. Give me some game notes.
Got some game notes. All right, Will Barton. He is active. He will play tonight. Was probable with non-COVID illness, but he's good to go. DeMarcus Cousins, not so much. He was probable with a sprained ankle. He is ruled out tonight. No. DeMarcus Cousins will not play for the Denver Nuggets.
I'm emotionally attached to DeMarcus Cousins already.
Really?
Hearing that he's out, I just felt a pang of sadness.
Well, one thing you should know is that the Milwaukee Bucks play really small. Like really small.
Okay.
They maybe play the smallest of anybody in the NBA.
Don't they want like as many bodies they can bang up against Giannis as possible?
And look, maybe it's a style fight if he can really put some points on the board. But like Pat Connaughton's going to be the power forward in the second. Maybe like the backup center even. Like,
I'm just worried.
They play really really small in that.
But I only worry about Giannis.
Well, that's a fair worry.
You know what I mean?
That's a smart worry.
That's like for all of our smart scheming. Like he can just break it. Like I just wish we had a guy that could just. Granted, DeMarcus Cousins would foul out in the first quarter.
Maybe. He'd draw a lot of fouls. That's one thing. He would draw a lot of fouls.
But to your point, I mean, okay, so he was probable, right? Not questionable or doubtful. So maybe that feeds into this decision. Trying to get him a rest anyway. Maybe it makes more sense schematically in this game.
They just cut his 10-day contract and then re-signed him to a 10-day. So he's still on the 10-day, and it is weird to rest. You have a rest game built into a 10-day.
Yeah,
that's like a pretty baller move. Let's say like a total like vet move. He's like, "Oh, I'm not feeling it." And they're like,
All
"You
right.
only have 10 days." He's like, "Yeah."
Eric, your word of the season's been purgatory.
Yeah.
Bookie's contract status, like he's on the Nuggets, kind of, sort of. All right,
Kinda.
anyway, rest of the game notes. We talked to Malone about Bones Highland playing point guard. He said Bones did a good job. He got them organized, ran the team, and by the way, that was his position at VCU. Point
Of course
guard.
it was.
So Malone decided
For
to
1 year.
reiterate
He was a point guard 1 year and an
All the
off-ball
same,
guard.
that was his position.
1 year.
I think that is also of note, but I do think, look, Malone just reiterating a lot of talk about is Bones a point guard, and he's saying, look, he does have some experience there. The defensive end of the floor is probably been the hardest part given the lack of practice this season, Malone tells us. So obviously, guys, NBA teams don't practice that much anyway, given the schedule. Then you add in the fact that Denver's been on the road so much this season, plus all the COVID stuff. They're just not. There's a lot of walkthroughs and videos, but there's not a lot of practice and live drills and live anything outside of the games. And obviously, that affects the defense, where Malone says he's seen the most slippage. Telling ain't teaching, he says. You need the reps to create that muscle memory. Says it's been tough trying to teach on the fly and teach through video. Did point out that they're doing a better job lately in the third quarter.
That's a good point. We haven't talked about it.
I think
Third
so.
quarter.
That they performed well.
I'm just saying it hasn't been a story. Remember, it was a storyline for like 15 straight games.
Oh, we're as whiny as it gets.
17 straight
We
games,
hit the
right?
same thing
17
over and
straight
over, yeah.
games, and we haven't talked about it.
Last 3 or 4, it's been much
Yeah.
better. Now, bad teams, but we'll see.
They've won the games too.
Yeah,
Coincidence?
exactly. And then Malone had a lot to say about Milwaukee, guys. First of all, appreciated the fact that Milwaukee is a group that had to fight through it and earn it.
Yes, they
Malone,
did.
Malone wears the fact that he's a coach's son. He's an old school basketball romantic.
Did he mention that
right?
he was the Bad Boys Pistons? Did he mention that?
I don't know if you guys know that, but Google Brendan Malone. Yeah. So Malone is someone who really appreciates that, right? The long haul, what we call doing it the right way. And then he said that Milwaukee's big three is probably the best big three in the league right now, which I thought was interesting. And that's it for your game notes.
I like that. Can I ask hey, look, here's Dev.
Oh, guys, the little gnome that we had on the couch poofed and turned into
Holy
death.
crap, that's incredible, man.
That's wild.
Can I ask a fair or foul question here? Because I'm in I don't know why. Maybe it's I just need a break. I think that's part of it. But I'm just everything offends me right now. The Bucks, their halftime entertainment tonight, it's Serbian night in Milwaukee,
Yep.
Fiservs, and they're having Serbian dancers. I feel like it's tampering. I feel like this is tampering.
Wow.
I'm a little offended. I mean, come on,
Wow.
hey, Nicole, look at our Serbian population here in the Midwest. We do all this stuff. I'm
Here's
just
what I'll
saying,
tell you about
am I out of pocket?
Here's what I'll tell you about Nikola Jokic. He doesn't seek anyone's company.
He sees no.
He's kind of a solitary guy. He loves horses. He's a horseman above all else.
So if they had a horse chariot race,
This is like
at
if you
halftime,
went
you'd be
to
like, whoa.
Japan and they're like, "Oh, look it's America night," and you're like, "Cool."
It's like
That's really
it's like
cool.
country music.
Oh wow,
and
that's so. Oh, we're doing an old fashioned hamburger cook up at halftime. You wouldn't be like, "I got to get here immediately."
wow.
I'm
Look
actually
at
the
that.
opposite of Eric. I'm with you on this one, Adam.
Thank you, Dad.
They have Serbian night on the night that Nikola Jokic is
Of
in
all
town.
the nights.
That
Of
meant
all
something.
the nights.
Because even if you say that Jokic does not care, he does care. He's going to say that's pretty cool, or he's going to stand out, or it's going to be brought up to him in multiple ways where he's like, now starting to think, why doesn't Denver have one of those? Like when is it going to be Serbian night at Ball Arena, or for them to think about that?
Here's the problem, Dev. I've made many graphics taking quotes from one Nikola Jokic, and I feel I know what his true heart is. And he's not motivated by things like that. He loves the idea of the long haul, taking one team all the way, being a Tim Duncan to the city of Denver. This guy isn't Lederhosen. He's going to be like, you know what? All of my principles are gone.
No, but I do think he feels refreshed, energized, that much more comfortable around his people, whether literally or culturally or whatever. And I do think, look, Milwaukee and Chicago have significant Serbian populations, and Denver doesn't, and that's probably a big part of why we haven't seen it in Denver yet. Having said that, probably worth a shot. I know a thing or two about pandering. Might want to get on that, Cronkies.
I think Horse Night honestly might be. I think I'm with Eric though on this. Like, this is a tampering. I think it's a bad tampering. A better tampering would definitely be Horse Night.
It's ham-handed and it's silly.
Yeah, it's very silly.
A cultural night like that is not. I mean, it just shows like we're thinking of you, but it's like you can make a gesture, but you can make a dumb gesture.
We need to have Greek night when the Bucks come.
Yeah,
just like randomly, we're like,
we
what
have like a guy in a Euro costume run out. Like,
but it's also genius because you get the Serbian population that's in Milwaukee to feel appreciated.
Yeah.
And also they're going to see their guy.
Yeah, they're
so
coming
like
out.
It goes in a bigger way of like making sure everyone is happy.
Here's what I know is that Dev can be bought.
That's okay. Everyone can be.
Dev may be easier than others.
Yeah, but also Horse Night. What was that?
We're gonna move it on. So this game will be interesting. I mean, the Nuggets obviously coming in with a little bit of a win streak, but it's been against some pretty bad opponents.
Right.
Although I will ask this one question, off the top of your heads, how many losses does so Denver has 21 losses? How many losses do you think Milwaukee has right now?
That's like 15.
15?
18.
20. They have one fewer loss than the Nuggets. Isn't that a weird perspective?
Yeah.
Well, just exposed myself, but I did not know that.
No, but I don't think anybody did. And
Yeah.
part of this is because if you go to the Eastern Conference, this is the same thing with the 76ers. Like, they're 2 games out of being the 1 seed, so everyone's like, oh, but they're so close.
Right.
Same record. It's just like they happen, they're all bunched together in the East, whereas in the West has separation.
Here's what I'll tell you. This is what the pitfall is of living your sports life through vibes alone. You
The
can
Nuggets'
fool
vibes are a little
The
lower
vibes
than-
have been terrible.
Yeah.
This is like the year the Broncos won the Super Bowl, and everyone was miserable the entire
Yeah,
time
it was.
because they weren't winning the correct way.
Well, they were just winning. It wasn't very convincing. It was 17 to 13 every game.
And they
You're like,
won the
man.
Super Bowl because
They kept
there
doing
is
it. They just
folly.
did it the whole
There's
year.
folly in living on vibes alone.
So you're
but
saying
it's-
the Nuggets are going to win the Super Bowl?
yes, man.
Buckle up.
All right, buckle up. So moving on here, an interesting thought here. So we talk one guy that has really maybe flown under the radar a little bit. We've talked about the guy being good, is Zeke Nnaji, but I think we've undersold just how good he's been from a scoring efficiency standpoint. In the month of January, guys, number 1 on the team in field goal percentage. He is shooting 6% better than Nikola Jokic from the field in the month of January, obviously on a lower volume. 65.3% from the field, 64.7% from 3. Now, it's not a lot of shots. I think he's up to something like 20, 30 shots or so, but still, to be at that efficiency has been pretty impressive. But here's the thing I keep thinking. The Nuggets don't run any plays for Zeke Nnaji. Why would you? He's a low 10th, 11th best guy, whatever it is. But I'm wondering if you have a guy that's shooting 50+% from 3, is it worth it to maybe, hey, let's find out if he can handle a couple plays for him where we're like, hey, this is a hammer play for Zeke Nnaji. Let's just try to up it by 2 or 3 threes. What do you think, Doug?
I think absolutely. I think that he's found a way to be effective in the offense without the offense going through him. So reward the guy that's been playing exceptionally well, but also really test that efficiency, see how good it really is, and also put him in situations where he could knock it down at a higher rate or more frequent rate.
Right.
So for him to be knocking down so many shots, the idea should be to get him open.
Yeah, man.
See if he could hit that rate at a higher rate, and then also just running the offense through him a bit more and just making him feel more comfortable, I think will go a long way. So, yeah, I'm behind that.
Yeah, this is developmental coaching. This is like where you have somebody and you give them a little bit more rope and a little bit more rope, and you allow them to find a rhythm and a confidence, and they start to become the best versions of themselves. This is what like really good coaches do to get the best out of their players. Like for all of Malone's faults, when he is stubborn about things, and he oftentimes will make adjustments on the floor that we'll have quibbles with, it's this long form stuff that he really has a good handle on. And I think, we see him do this. He'll try something out. He'll give it like a certain amount of time. When it's not working out, it is maddening.
Right.
But he gives it the same amount of time.
It depends. I mean, you kind of answered the question. I was going to say, what do these shots look like? How are they getting them for him? Do we want Zeke to go exploring his offense?
That's why,
No.
and I don't think you meant this, but
Right.
you said something about playing the offense through him, and I think you mean more just playing something
setting
for him,
plays up
setting him
for
right.
where he's
Let it-
open,
Not
and
letting him
knocking
bring the
down
ball up the
shots.
court.
Oh, no,
Yo, get out the way. Get out the way. We got
Running him
Zeke
off screens,
cooking.
Zeke
finding ways
ISO.
to get him open.
Zyso!
And I'm all for that. I mean, the bench has looked in every direction for offense, and this is a guy who Zeke is like the math on Zeke's 3-point shooting tells you he has to start taking more shots. You have to find out when that starts dipping.
So I know Nylon Calculus did a thing years back talking about like where can you start to predict a guy's 3-point percentage, because you had a lot of rookies that would start, they'd be shooting 40% through their first like 5 months of the season, and people are like, oh, he's a shooter. He wasn't in college, he's a shooter. It turned out, they did a study, it turned out the number was about 200. You need 200 threes before you can kind of judge. Zeke Nnaji's at 118.
Yeah.
He's only about halfway to. It could just be that he's had a hot start or that he had a confident stretch or what have you.
This is a profession, basketball.
Yeah, it is a profession.
That's right.
The concept of
Such a good
10,000
point.
hours applies to this profession as it does any other profession. Like, there's a certain amount, like the repetition that you get from just doing things over and over and taking away a lot of the thinking part, allowing yourself to just think at a higher level without like the mechanical part being part of your thinking. Like, you foster that. Like, you'll get better.
Right.
You know?
But here's another thing is, so it's funny because he's actually taken 59 threes last year, 59 threes this year. He was 24 of 59, that's about 41%. Now he's 30 of 59, which is 51%. So he's shooting slightly better, or, small sample size, but shooting better this year. But I do think when we talk about, what do you have in Zeke Nnaji? When we talked about the trade deadline, maybe he's a trade piece. I don't think so, but maybe. But one of the things you have to answer is, hey, is this guy a 40+% three-point shooter at the power forward position? And if so, don't you need him to have enormous gravity? And I think right now he has good gravity.
Dude.
But if you get a month where you say, hey, you know what, we're going to try, right now he's taking roughly, per 36 minutes, he's taking about 4.5 per game. Can you get that to 7?
Right.
Where you're just running about twice as many, 7, 8, twice as many. So you're running some sets to him, and all of a sudden, now you can actually use him as a decoy in certain situations where teams are opening up and spacing.
You said something. They need to showcase Zeke Nnaji, and they need to trade him for a guy that is established. They need to show that this guy has this much potential, and they need to get him to a team that has an established player that they can use right now. There's George Karl ideas of being bold. Like, we don't need developmental players. That's very much what he is, and he's a good one.
Yeah.
But it's like they should strike.
I think you want to go into the playoffs, to Adam's point, having shown defenses enough where, again, there's a difference between can hit 40% in the regular season and then you've scared a playoff defense, right? We saw that a lot with Paul Millsap. They're going to leave him open. They'd rather him make that shot. Is Zeke a guy that they cannot leave open? And is that something that you want to show both Zeke, yourself, and opposing defenses between now and the playoffs? And to me, the answer is yes.
You have anything on this? I mean, would you trade Zeke, or do you think he's a piece that maybe is closer to being a playoff contributor?
Well, how much longer does he have in his contract?
2 more years after that. I mean, he's a rookie, so
Yeah, so it makes it.
he's in line for an extension after next season.
So you want him to get better before then, especially like to just show your development, because you haven't had much of it since or in a while. But at the same time, even if you showcase him, how much is the rest of the league going to buy in on that? He would have to become a starter at that point.
Well, I just mean, like, if you can show, because, like, these guys are in the business of futures predicting. And so if you show them a guy that's like, yo, look at this progression. Like, this guy is getting better and better. I mean, how good of a player could you get?
Well, here's the one thing I'll say about that. His value, I mean, the trade deadline's in a couple weeks. His value at that point, like meaning right now, I don't know if it's that high just because he hasn't played the minutes. I do wonder, though, if it is a guy where we start to look at and say, if he really breaks out and shoots like this but on higher volume, Denver probably can't retain him. It's like, all right, they got a lot of money out. Maybe he's not a long-term, maybe he is, but maybe he's not a long-term piece. But you can always trade him next break if that's the case, and hopefully he's 1 year into this. The sample size is big enough now that teams are like, yeah, we need a 3-and-D power forward, and that's who he is. We'll pay a lot for that. Right now, I just don't think you get a lot for a Zeke Nnaji trade.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but also you could keep him where he's at right now and say, hey, we have this guy. He's not playing a lot. But if he was, this is how good he would be. So you could see it from both angles, where you play him more, he's going to get, more attention, or guys wanting to get him, but it's going to take a full year. But you're still developing him. But if you don't and you let him sit right now, you're like, hey, this is a guy that can work out for you eventually. So I really think it's a lose-lose.
Is there any path?
I don't think it is.
Is there any path to like a Malcolm Brogdon, a guy on a team like the Pacers, where they're just like looking to do a fire sale?
I think you're thinking about that right now this year, and I just don't know if that makes sense in large part because Denver's championship odds hang on 2 guys that we have no idea if they're going to be any good at all. My point is, here's my point is, next year, you will have a better idea of, is Zeke Nnaji our guy? And we always talk about roster building. Like, I know people don't like these conversations because you talk about trading guys you really like.
Yeah.
But maybe you get to a point where you're like, you know what? Zeke Nnaji gives us a lot of Michael Porter shooting. Michael Porter really good, but now he's regained some value. Maybe he's the guy you trade and you keep a Zeke and you get 2 or 3 pieces for it. Then now you have a large thing. So I'm just saying, right now we don't know with Zeke. I do think the Nuggets can scale up slightly his usage. Just try to get him 1 or 2 more shots per game. And if you do that for between now and this time next year, you probably know more about, hey, is Zeke our guy, or is he a good asset, or maybe he wasn't very good, and it's like, hey, we reduced the shot.
You have to, as an organization, and maybe they do this, like you have to have a clock you all agree that you're on, a timeline you all agree that you're on.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next segment here. Talk about if the Nuggets get the win tonight, I think it might be their best win of the season. They're pretty big underdogs. But if you go through it, Eric, have you gone through it?
Oh, no, fuck.
Literally one job.
I started doing
would this be the best win of the season?
So off the top of my head, the other ones that are great that I remember, you get the big Lakers blowout, you get the early Suns win with Porter at the start of the season, which was great.
That was a good one, but it was game 1.
I mean, so much has changed since then. And then the Miami game,
that was
ends
a great
in the Morris thing, so we kind of forget that was actually just Denver running a great team out of the building.
That was a great win.
So those are the ones I think about. However, there is an element of, given all of that is from the perspective of what Denver's doing in a vacuum. Right now, Utah's in a tailspin. Dallas is catchable, Utah's catchable, and they've been losing games, and you've started this road trip 3-0. So you get this one, 4-0, I think it's the biggest win of the year.
I think it'll be by far the biggest win. You're on a road trip. You also are going against, the idea of the MVP, like what others believe is the MVP or has the operations to be the MVP this year. In the middle of your road trip, this is a statement game for Jokic where he could flip the script and the narrative about who the MVP is if he has a big game, and also if his team wins undermanned. Every other team that they've played, they've been under, there's been a guy that hasn't been playing.
Right.
This one, we just talked about it. This really might be the best big 3 in the entire NBA, and they're all playing in this game while Jokic is missing multiple guys. So if you could pull out a win like this in the middle of your road trip, I think it's not even close to your biggest win of the year.
Yeah, I'm looking. There really have not been very many.
They're not that many
wins.
good ones, man. I mean, he used them. Phoenix and
Phoenix,
Miami.
the first game of the season,
first game of the year,
as good as it felt.
Probably the pound for pound best win.
Yeah, we beat the hell out of the Trailblazers, 140.
Those don't
but those
matter, the Lakers win was good because it was a butt whooping, but the Lakers suck.
Yeah, they suck. We beat the Mavericks early on, which looks like a better win.
They were on a back-to-back that game. So I honestly think this would be the best one, but not just because of the competition, because Milwaukee's a good team.
Sure.
I think it would be a great win because, one, it would tie your longest win streak. Nuggets have a 5-game win streak. This would be a 5-game win streak. But here, equally as importantly, I love how I have Dev and Eric's attention as they're watching this game so intently.
I'm watching that.
Dev's like, I am.
This is a vibes win in that the Nuggets are on the upswing. 27-21, that's a good record. If you get a Milwaukee win right here and you get to 5 in a row, I just think the belief the team starts to play with. I mean, they already have, I feel like the belief has gone up. But you get this one, and all of a sudden I start to get more confident for hey, dude, Minnesota, why not?
The belief is immaculate at that point.
The belief becomes immaculate. All right, Dev, I hate to pull you away from what you're doing, but let's hop on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Let's do this.
And make some money here.
With this, they've kept pulling the line, the bets and stuff like that.
The Nuggets looked, I'm not going to lie, watching that game, that last one, Nuggets look awfully tired.
Yeah.
Last game. I was looking at that, I'm like, man, they're not going to win, are they?
Yeah. So they come into this game as 6-point underdogs, which you expect.
Yeah,
Milwaukee's a really good team. The Nuggets haven't really beat any good team as of lately. And like you just said, they look tired. Giannis, he looks great. I mean, he just really does. And you don't see that changing. And also, I really don't think there's a guy that can slow down Giannis. So, you could just pencil him for a monster game. As far as the line, I don't know. I feel like you're getting it at 6. You could wait for a little bit and try to take a live bet to see if they're up or under. But I would play it just to see how they come out before I would just take that line straight. Over under of 231. They think this is going to be a high scoring game. The Bucks is who they think is going to be a high scoring game with. If you put them with that. I do think that it's going to be a faster pace, at least for one team. The Bucks are going to try to push the pace. I feel like the Nuggets are going to try to slow it down. So we just go over to the lines. we already talked about it. It's a statement game for Jokic. I think he knows it. I think the Bucks know it. He's going to try to be aggressive. It's Serbia night. He's going to try to please the fans.
Can he put a statement game bow on one of the greatest 8-game runs we've ever seen? But I mean, it is. It would be the same.
You have to. And it's 25.5, and they don't actually have a center. They don't have a center to slow him down.
Dude, everyone loved that point you just made.
Everybody did. That was a
Everyone.
great point.
No center?
Wow.
He's the scouting master.
So, yeah, let's lock into points. I think that he's going to have 25. Actually, let's do points, rebounds, and assists is the lock.
Wow.
Jokic points, rebounds, and assists.
Okay.
I do think that he gets himself going. He's going to rebound.
47.5.
47.5. I think that's easy.
Points alone.
He's going to really
Maybe.
go off. 47.5. I love it. Rebounds. They don't have a center. They're going to have Bobby Portis guarding them at a lot of those
That
times.
guy's tall. You want to know why I know? Because we saw him in Las Vegas.
not
and
that
I was
tall.
like, that's the tallest person I've ever seen.
Bobby Portis?
Yeah, dude. Remember he came off the elevator and we were like, or remember how I was like.
I think you were like
Holy
You were
this.
smokes.
just ground floor with an NBA player.
Yeah, that was your first time of doing that. That's
Yeah.
not that
yeah.
tall. He's tall, but he's not that
So, yeah, I
tall.
like it at points, rebounds, and assists.
They're all tall.
I feel like Aaron Gordon has to play for the entire game. Or close
Okay.
to it. I
Well-
feel like they take him out a lot.
don't know if I feel
This
good
is a
about
game
that.
that he has to have matchups. He's going to have to try to slow down Giannis at times. He's going to have to be on Middleton. You just have to slow them down. So I think you might as well take his points, rebounds, and assists because he's going to be on the floor. I also think this is a game where he's going to say, hey, this is what they signed me for. I'm going to be involved. So I would also take the points, rebounds, and assists on Aaron Gordon.
Okay.
Is there anything that we really like for fun?
I got to keep a 3-game parlay streak going because I get a bonus on DraftKings.
Oh.
So I got a three leg parlay.
Okay, what do we know?
Well, Jokic over 20 points feels pretty safe.
We know that will happen. That will happen.
I mean, that's the 20.
What else do we know? Do we know that Will Barton will hit a 3? Yes, we do.
I don't. Man, he's been out.
I'm curious who
gonna hit
Drew
2 in the first
Holiday guards
minute.
tonight, too. Do you think Drew guards Monte, or does he
Yeah.
take Will?
I think he guards Monte.
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 Might be a long
Monte
night
has
for-
to guard Drew Holiday.
I think it might be a long night for Monte.
George Hill's out for what it's
very,
worth.
very
George
rough
Hill's out.
day for Monte.
You know, I do like.
Telling you, Will Barton 3. I love it.
I like my Jokic steals bet just because it almost always hits. So I'm going to add Jokic steals to this one. I always do a Jokic parlay, every one of my parlays. But I need one other thing, guys. I need a 3 from
Aaron
somebody.
Gordon points, right?
Aaron Gordon points, huh? But guarded by Giannis?
I mean, I don't want to endorse this, but what is Chris Middleton's point?
Man, I can't believe
Dude,
you.
he's a Nuggets guy. He
not how this
destroys the
works.
Nuggets every single time, and they're gonna have Will Barton trying to guard him for the game.
Do you have a Bones 3 in there?
There's no 3s for him on there. I mean, I got to get one more pointsman. I got Jokic at a low points total.
What is Aaron Gordon's?
I can get him at 12 plus.
He's gonna play. He's playing this game.
All right, he is playing this game. My parlay, not good odds, but I'm really just in this parlay to get my bonus. So sometimes it's smart to
He's
build
gonna win too.
I got plus 110, not bad. 20 plus points for Jokic, 1 steal, plus 12 Aaron Gordon points. You guys can also opt into this bonus. You get free money if you make 3 parlays. So if you just go even value, odds are you're actually going to either at least break even or make a little bit of money on this. That's what I'm doing, placing my bets. A bit of a coward's parlay, but I'm doing it.
Yeah, that's kind of your new nickname, the Coward's Parlay.
I'll take it. Take it. Mr. Moneyman also. That's also what you can call me when you make a coward's parlay. That does it for us, guys. We're going to go watch this game. Can't wait for it. We hope you guys join us in the post-game show. We'll see you guys then.
Let's go.